Good afternoon, Inner Alchemy Oracle card students. We are on week 51, card 51, Gatekeeper. We're going to go through how to read this card, as there are a couple different definitions and descriptions and ways of seeing this card. My interpretation, so that you can get behind the idea where the why of this card, the why of anything is always so very important, because my why might help you understand your why. The contemplation for Gatekeeper and the journal prompt as well. So when we look at this card, we really see a person or a woman of stature of some sort. She has an important role to play. She has value, and she is guarding or gating something behind her. When I originally was working with this card and letting this card speak to me and through me, I really felt that not only was this woman a gatekeeper, but I sensed and felt like this was like the hands of a ticking clock. And I really did equate it with like a timekeeper as well. And I'm going to delve into that a little bit more, what I mean by that. So when we look at a watcher or an observer, this is someone who, again, is of importance, and she is looking over, let's say, something important, a domain, right? A domain of some sort. She is an observer and she is a watcher. She is also giving permission to enter. Kind of like, you know, if you knocked on the door or you rang a doorbell, and I think of like the gates on a how do I want to say it? Like a castle, right? Or honestly, I even kept thinking of the Wizard of Oz, because before you go to see the Wizard of Oz, it's like you have to go through all of these steps, these gatekeeping entities, if you will, to get to the great and powerful Oz, which is a bit of a joke, really, because the great and powerful Oz is not great and powerful. So either way, I don't want to go into the weeds, but again, it's permission to enter. You rang. The other thing that we want to think about when we talk about time, or as in the timekeeper, is we're also familiar with Akasha. So Akasha is considered the place where all of time's records exist. All of time exists. Whether it's for you, past, present, future, whether it's for the earth, past, present, future, or we've talked about this before, because Akasha really is connected to the stars. They also almost consider it like the Milky Way. Okay. So this is a person who is really looking over and looking out over your domain. I literally think of this as your spirit guide. Now, I am not at all unfamiliar with what that means. I have had interactions and communings with spirit guides for a very, very long time. And it is something that I truly do pride myself in reference to helping others connect with their own spirit guides, because sometimes it's really hard to find our own answers, to find our own way. And the gatekeeper or the spirit guide is someone who is showing you the way, someone who is really kind of saying, look, this is what you need to do to get to here, to get to there. Now, I also kind of thought of it and looked at it as almost like she's not quite a knight. In other words, yes, she does look like a warrior of some sorts, but whenever we think of knights, we think of them charging with their sword and, getting ready to go to battle. And there's a very like a defensive energy associated with a knight. You very rarely see a knight just standing there while all of this chaos is around them. It takes great temperance and I don't know, I want to say incredible ability to pull yourself back, right, in order to do so. I think of her as a knight, and not a knight, but not a warrior. Like, she is a bit of a knight, but she's not a warrior, because she stands by and watches things happen, but knows when she must act. And this is where the connection to time comes in. Divine timing, right? So if she's the keeper of time, then she's going to know what is happening and when. I kind of think of her also as like Joan of Arc, who also was kind of like a knight. But let's say, if we wanted to call her Athena, even for that matter, and I'll talk about Athena in a moment, because I had a physical, very strong physical response, reaction, interaction with Athena. And not only as a spirit guide, but I had seen a very large image of her. I mean, huge in Georgia. And for about 2 weeks straight, I was getting these pins and needles and weird things happening on my foot. And I finally was like, kind of like, you rang? Like, what's up with this? And then I was explained that, you had an activation and are having an activation because of Athena and your interaction with Athena, but also because that you hold the codes within you for that interaction and the activation to happen, but you need to acknowledge it first. See, that's the thing about your spirit guide, your watcher, your observer, your permission to enter. It takes two, right? Like, it's not just, your spirit guide isn't just going to be like, oh, this is where you go and this is what you're going to do if you just sit around and do nothing. So that's why there's a bit of integrity along with that as well. So maybe this card is not one of defense, but more of offense. You do not assign a gatekeeper or something that is precious to you unless they are understanding of you and understanding of your goals, your wishes, your dreams, so on and so forth. Okay, the other thing I want to say about this is not only is it related to time, but the time is now. In other words, don't wait any longer. If you get this card and you are asking a question about something that is near and dear to your heart, you're basically being told, don't wait any longer. The time is now, and the gatekeeper will show you the way. This is when everything is on time. You're in the zone and all things are happening effortlessly. It could also be that time is up. In other words, something that you had been waiting on, or something that, you had been hoping was going to happen, is happening. So it could be that time is up. So what does that mean? That means that something is ending and something is beginning. And sometimes we need to be patient with the in-between. But if the time is up, then that means that's a direct ending of something, but it also means it's the beginning of something else. So I want to talk about this one more thing before we go into the contemplation and the journaling. Think of this as the future keeper of knowledge. So you're seeing keeper, the timekeeper, the gatekeeper, the future keeper. Time is neither here nor there. It just is. And it's more about our life force and what we do with our life force that is more important than the time itself. So remember how I was telling you about the Oz? Like, you can't see the great and powerful Oz without going through the gatekeeper. So yeah, this is about boundaries as well, but it's also about being held accountable. So the gatekeeper, your spirit guide, is holding you accountable to what you say you're going to do, especially if it's tied into your chart, your star chart, your mission. Okay? So let's look at how do we work with the gatekeeper. So first of all, I want you to look at, where do you give your, I'm not going to use the word time, I'm going to say your life force away, right? Where do you give your life force away? When it comes to remaining true to what you say. Because what you say somehow has to be tied to your mission, your blueprint, or your purpose. Or, as we said before, star map, right? So now your journaling is who or what can you call upon to make sure you do so? Now, I'm going to tell you right here and now, which is going to kind of surprise me, but I'm going to roll with it. I'm actually going to plug myself for a moment, what I do in my services. And when I was putting together this particular video, I was realizing how much of myself that I give freely, how much that I offer the world that I know the world needs, but I don't place a value on it. I don't ask for money in return. I don't sell my services. I'm a really good psychic. I'm an excellent teacher. I really know how to help people. And I don't tell people. I don't ask them if they need help. I don't say that I can help them. And I realized when I was doing this that I heard the time is up. In other words, now, if this is something that is hurting me physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, then that time is up. And if you are ready as the gatekeeper, if you are ready, it is now time to look at that from a much more reasonable, heart-centered, truthful, honest way. And so who or what can you call upon to make sure you do so? Where do you give your life force away when it comes to remaining true to what you say? And so this is interesting because, as I've told you before, whenever I put these videos out there, they always hold my feet to the fire. And I'm allowing Spirit and my gatekeeper, who I am working with very closely now. She came through in a channeled message she helped me trans-channel a message last Thursday from a mothership. And interestingly, I know this is tied into my mission. This is tied into my purpose. So, this is me saying, this is where a life coach helps. This is where a spiritual guide helps. This is where someone who can actually go into your records with your permission to enter. You rang and look at your life force. Where is your life force seeping out and dripping out? And how do we rectify that? What is in your star chart and your mission? And are you doing it? This is where I pull in my gifts, my abilities to help you as the spiritual seeker, as the one who is also floundering in staying true to their mission. This is what I am able to do. I can become the gatekeeper. Okay? So I'm going to leave it at that. That was a little bit of, we're all kind of being tested and going through initiations right now. For some people, it's health. Some people, it's finances. Some people, it's kind of like a deconstruction of their belief system. There are many different things, and a lot of it has to do with faith. But if we're not talking about it, and if we're not asking for what we need and what we want, then there is no permission to enter. And your spirit guide, or our spirit guide, is just simply saying, hey, I'm trying to show you the way, and you're not listening because you're distracted, or you're feeling unworthy, or you're feeling like you have to give away everything for free. And that is wrong. And this is the golden age. The golden age is upon us. And the only way that the golden age is going to work for us is if we literally seize the day and from a heart-centered, truthful, authentic place. Spread our love and our gifts, and remember that we are not alone. So, okay, you guys, I'm going to let you go. Card 15, card 51, week 51, Gatekeeper. We have one more left of the actual Inner Alchemy Oracle card deck, and then I will decide what we do with the other two. It's probably smart to kind of do a little mini training for that. And as always, I am available for coaching as well as teaching and spiritual guidance. So sending much love. And I'm going to bring her back down. Bye-bye.